naturally. Okay. So it's going to take a little bit live on YouTube. Get the title. And it's going to be a little bit of a pause. And I have her bio accessible here. Okay, I'm all good, I think. Oh, shoot. Every time I click off, I have to go through the process again. Hold on.
Nice. All right.
Okay, here we go. All right.
Says we're being live streamed.
Oh, hi, everybody. I believe we're live. Hi, it's Laura Eisenhower. I'm joined today by the amazing Dr. Christian Northrup and Seth Pruzansky. And I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with her. I'm going to read a few words about her, but I just want to thank you both for being with me today.
Pleasure. Pleasure is all mine, Laura.
Oh, awesome. It's really exciting what we're going to be talking about. And I think it's really where it's at with what we're facing in the world right now. So let me tell you a bit about Dr. Christian Northrup. She is a visionary pioneer in women's health and is a board certified OBGYN with more than 30 years of clinical experience, former assistant clinical professor of the OBGYN at the University of Vermont College of Medicine, and 3-time New York Times bestselling author of Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom, The Wisdom of Menopause, and Goddesses Never Age. And I got to read that book. Oh my goodness. In 2013, Reader's Digest named Dr. Northrup one of the 100 most trusted people in America. And I mean, she's just really been out there in her career, you know, the Today Show, Oprah, NBC Nightly News, and a lot more. And I'll give the full bio in the description because there's so much more to say about her. But it's really wild because she's one of the most powerful warriors on the planet right now. And it's just incredible that she stayed true to her heart, and she's really standing up for the most important things and did not bend to any narrative that would compromise her integrity. And so she's a hero in my eyes, and it's always wonderful to have her here. And she's going to talk to us about divine currency and just like what that is all about. So take it away, Dr. Christian. Divine currency and this whole silver and gold thing, and how people can get a part of it or be a part of this.
You know, it's interesting. So Laura, last night I'm finishing up Alex Collier's weekly thing. And I think Alex has been a friend of yours because he mentioned that he'd like to do some things with you, but you're very busy, so he hasn't gotten hold of you. Anyway, at the very tail end of his thing that he does weekly, where you just ask him questions, because he's been out there like you for many, many years talking about things that are not really mainstream. And he got into silver, which was so interesting to me, because he's talking about, you know, the number of ships that are under the ocean. They're like way more in the water than there are in the air, and, you know, and saying to stock up, like it's good to have a prudent reserve at this time. Where we're going is very positive. But like a tumultuous birth, there's liable to be some time when you need support. So I just went to BJ's today, you know, got all kinds of paper towels and all the Kleenex and all the stuff that one needs as a prudent reserve. But then at the very end, he talked about the fact that silver, which I never thought about till this year, had been kept artificially low for a very long time. But that by the end of this year, it's probably going to be 600 to 1,000 an ounce. And again, this is nothing I ever thought about. I want to talk a little bit about currencies. Gold and silver are kind of divine currency. We call them precious metals or noble metals. And of course, there's all of this stuff about the fact that that people came here, I think the Anunnakis, to mine the gold. There's also gold. Ormus gold has been used for healing for centuries. And so there's something about these noble metals, precious metals, that I think it's a good time, as Alex said, the window on this is very short. So it's interesting to me that we're talking now. It's not going to stay that way. So what I want to say to everyone listening is, see if you can just get your hands on some silver or gold or a little bit of both. But before we get there, and we can tell you what Seth and I are doing, you don't need to do that. I just want you to understand currency. And by the way, currency is, that we are in the slave fiat system. We are ships at sea. So currency is about the currents of the ocean. And our birth certificates, and by the way, just everybody, you can go to this, the Maternity Act of 1921, when they began to sell our birth certificates on the stock exchange. The reason that 21 is the age of adulthood is that by then you've got 20 years with a bond that they figure that's worth 650,000. There's literally an account with your name on it where they're using your human resource. You are a human resource. So I'm just learning all of that, and many of you are as well. But when you think about divine currency, first of all, most of us in Laura's audience and in my audience, particularly in the past, the yoga teachers, the people who might have called themselves New Age or the mind body people and all of that, there's been attached to that an incredible poverty consciousness. Louise Hay talked about that a lot. I visited Louise at her home way back when I was kind of new on the lecture circuit and all that. And Louise had a Rolls Royce in her garage with wall-to-wall carpeting. And she was making no excuses whatsoever for owning that car. She said, I grew up dirt poor. We had nothing. Now, later in the last years of her life, she had a smart car, just one of those tiny little ones. But she never had any guilt whatsoever about having nice things. I believe that there is this sickness on planet Earth of a misinterpretation, perhaps, of scripture. It is more likely that a camel could go through the eye of a needle than a rich man would reach the kingdom of heaven. It is kind of that it is noble to be poor, that somehow you get extra points in heaven if you are poor here on earth. And I was interested in all of that stuff to some extent, but let me tell you where the rubber hit the road for me. And I think this is important. In the late 90s, I went through a divorce. I didn't know the difference between a plaintiff and a defendant. I didn't know that a divorce was a lawsuit. Actually, at that time, I didn't realize that a statutory marriage, the one where you sign the certificate of the marriage certificate, that makes a threesome with the state, by the way. So there's the husband and there's the wife and there's the state. So I would say to any of you who are interested in this, I'll be really controversial now. I wouldn't register your child with a birth certificate so the state owns the child, and I wouldn't get married in the old system. I would do what's called an ecclesiastical marriage, which is you're married in the eyes of God, but the state doesn't get a portion of everything that you have. One of my friends, her husband just died, and what she went through, and they even had a trust, a revocable trust, and the house is in the trust and all that, but what she's gone through with the state, having to get the boat in her name. I'm talking about a small Lund thing with an outboard motor. I'm not talking a yacht here, folks. And his car and it's insane what our government does with our money. We are in a debt slave system. And in the 50s, I remember my father-in-law, my former father-in-law, would come up to Maine every weekend to be with his family. And the weekends were all in the summer, 4-day weekends. And so that, that's like that idyllic family thing where dad comes up and, he's there Thursday night and he doesn't have to leave until Monday afternoon. And you had a life, and you could have a mother or father, if you wanted, stay home. Now, most people have to work. At least each member, if you have kids, each one of you has to work. And I knew many, many people in my practice where she was working shift work, let's say in the hospital, he was a cop, he'd work shift work so that there was always a parent home with the kids, but they never had really a life together because they're just trying to get food on the table and a roof over their house. So that's where we've been, ramping it up more and more and more and more, so that people's lives are just a rat race of living from paycheck to paycheck. Okay, now back to my divorce. I suddenly realized that I could lose the house. And that was stunning. I mean, it was stunning to me. My mother called me. She said, you want me to come up there? Because I know that guy. And we've done a lot of camping trips with him, actually. And so I learned quickly I had to protect my assets quickly. I mean, think about it. Now, I know I'm talking to a lot of people out there where you've been with someone, let's say for a couple decades, you got a couple kids, suddenly it's not working out. And this person that you thought to love and to cherish and would make sure that the heat was kept on and the mortgage was paid because those were his kids too. Suddenly you realize, OMG, it's all on me. And that's when my dilettante approach to currency, to money, suddenly got very real. It wasn't anymore The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder, which I read from time to time. No. It became Think and Grow Rich every night, reading it on a treadmill as though my life depended on it, because it did. I mean, I thought I was going to lose the house. I was afraid to replace the faucet. I had a plumber literally come over and replace the faucet on the bathtub. And I found out that that new one cost $350. And I made him go back to the dump and get the old one and fix it. It was that, oh my goodness. So I call this, by the way, punching a hole in heaven. You usually don't get inspired until you're desperate. It's kind of the gift of desperation. Suddenly, there's nothing to do except bring those dynamic laws of prosperity into your life. So there's a part in Think and Grow Rich where he says, you got to write out this thing, how much money you want per month and what you're going to exchange for it, because there's no such thing as a free lunch, not in nature either, by the way. I mean, to get maple syrup, the stuff has to come up from the roots and, and then you got to boil it and all, even though maple trees give it to you and apple trees give it to you, but there's stuff you have to do with the apple tree to get it. So anyway, I was making a deal with the universe, with God, with Source, that I would use my books and my voice and my whatever to help women improve their health all over the world in exchange for whatever the income was. And I don't remember what it was, but I do remember this. I had that on a piece of paper. And then I wrote out all the Catherine Ponder affirmations about abundance, or the Louise Hay ones, or whatever it is. And I would say them out loud with great emotion, because it is the emotion that creates the manifestation. You can't just remember those days. I don't know, Seth, if you ever did it, where you're writing 100 times,
Right. Affirmations mentally from the head.
Yeah, just as I am. You have to feel it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like, so one of my absolute favorites was from Catherine Ponder: divine radiant substance cannot be taken from me, and it can't be withheld from me. I am the perfect manifestation of divine radiant substance, and divine radiant substance, which we could call ether, manifests for me in incredible ways right here, right now. The idea of divine radiant substance, which is kind of the Nikola Tesla ether, that there is this stuff. It is the stuff that coalesces into matter, that every one of us can command that. But it also means, because we're in a 3D planet, and this is also a body trip, you're in a body, and a lot of the new age people have real trouble. I remember when I first started to listen to Alex Collier's channel, he does this thing every week. And at first it was, $9.99, and now it's up to $13. And people were complaining, like, this guy's got kids, he's got a house. How do you expect him to live? We have got to get over this thing about attracting abundance, but I know why we're there. We have about 12 families and their generations that have funded both sides of every conflict, and they get their, everyone needs to know the Federal Reserve is not federal, and there's no reserve. It's a private bank. And so you sit there and people are saying, well, the Fed's going to raise their interest rates. I remember the first time I talked to a finance person about this. I said, come on, what is this? And she goes, well, we don't talk about it. It's like, okay, it's not just the elephant in the room. There's a whole herd. There's the whole herd. Once you read Creature from Jekyll Island, and you learn all this stuff. So you can complain about all that. You can complain about it for years, and you can be angry at the people who have more money. But I want you all to remember, yes, on one level, that's all manipulated. Money's manipulated. Russia is now on the gold standard. The ruble is gold. Gas is 58 cents a liter in Russia right now. It's $4.50 here in Maine. And that's all manipulation. However, there's this thing of divine radiant substance, which cannot be taken from you, and it cannot be withheld from you. And you can command divine radiant substance to manifest for you. Now, you can't get too into your head about how it's going to come. But I remember then, if you pay attention, so here's how you can start to pay attention. I did this. Susie Orman actually taught me this. If you respect your money, it will respect you. I want you all listening to become a safe container for abundance, a safe container for money. So you do that by having a wallet where you arrange all the bills in, with maybe the face facing you. And we know there's all those Masonic symbols, and it's the petrodollar. We know all that, but don't get hung up on that. We have so many people getting hung up on all these things when really you're just going to need, for the next several months, everybody, you're going to need a prudent reserve, because the inflation rate may go through the roof for a while. Now, do I believe that there is a quantum financial reset happening? I do. Absolutely, I do. But for the short term, it's good to have a prudent reserve. So you want to make yourself a healthy container for abundance without a bunch of holes where the abundance leaks out. Okay, how does the abundance leak out? Okay, money doesn't grow on trees. Who do you think I am? Rockefeller? And who do you think you are? The Queen of Sheba? Oh, and then the veiled contempt. The veiled contempt must be nice. Must be nice. When I was going through my divorce, I had the first book was out, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And I had a journalist interviewing me. I was devastated. I mean, I'm a Libra. I never thought I would get divorced. I'm like, ah. She looks at me and she goes, Has Dr. Northrup ever suffered? Yeah, okay. Just because I am not a puddle on the floor doesn't mean that I am not suffering. I'm also by that time trained in a surgical specialty where people regularly try to bleed to death. So I learned early on not to lose it. Okay. Please, people, a lot of you really could use that advice, because we got a whole population now. They're either deeply offended or they're virtue signaling. Deeply offended or virtue signaling. If everything goes to what it might for a little while, is that the person that you want to have around you? No. I want the person who knows how to use a hand drill. I do not. I want the person who knows how to grow stuff. I can do that. I would be okay with the person who knows animal husbandry and carpentry and that sort of thing. All of that stuff requires currency, a medium of exchange. So here in Maine, at Maine Stands Up, we've had groups where we talk about bartering, we talk about timeshare, we talk about cryptocurrency, and we talk about gold and silver, the noble metals. Right this very minute, Seth and I are involved with a company that I am loving. As soon as I heard about it, Seth, this is what I do. So I got it linked up to my bank account. So as much as I possibly, you got to keep some money in the fiat currency to pay your bills and stuff. But every time that I can, there's an extra 200 lying around, whatever, boom, goes right in my sound money wallet, goes right into my silver balance. Because if what I'm hearing is true, and I've heard it from so many different sources, then this may be the best investment I ever made. And what is money? It is a force multiplier. Someone at Hay House wrote a book, and they had tons of money when she was a kid. Her father was a surgeon. That doesn't mean you'll make money anymore, but back then it did. And she took dressage lessons and had horses and all that, to being on welfare. So she made it her business to study money.
Oh,
it looks like she froze up.
But I have to say, just listening to her, just the whole energy of gold and silver and what she was saying about the ether. I mean, this is all about alchemy, turning lead into gold, right? Being abundant individuals, and how, the silver connects to the moon and the gold connects to the sun, and the silver gold gateways that have to do with ascension, that has to do with our galactic chakras. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. So it's nice to be working with something that is a direct reflection on a much more organic level than a piece of paper.
Yeah, with nothing behind it, right? A piece of paper that's totally fake.
Yeah. So it looks like she's gonna have to jump back on, but so
yeah, she's just texting me. She's gonna come back in a minute. She said,
okay, cool. But people are listening to this and they're gonna want to know, all right, so there's a link, right? I just put it in the description, everybody. And what happens when they click onto that link? What does that mean?
So that's going to bring, that's going to bring everybody into a place where we're going to be doing, me and a whole team are doing live Zooms and helping people understand how they can convert their worthless fiat currency into gold and silver. And it's such an ingenious system that this company has created, that everybody, who gets into it, and then when they finally get how amazing, because it's not just trade your money into gold and silver. These guys are thinking 10 steps ahead. Like, why do the wealthy invest so much money in paintings that are worth $5-10 million? Because it's wealth preservation. So that's the same thing with collectible coins. So they're thinking offensive, defensive strategies. Money into gold and silver bullion is a defensive strategy. Money into collectible coins is an offensive strategy. And they've gone away. Oh, good shit.
She's back. Do you want to keep flowing with what you're saying? Were you finished with your thought?
Yeah, I was gonna wait to see if she's on mute, but
Here we go.
there we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I was just sharing about just all the images and things that I was feeling as you were talking. Just the whole alchemical part of it all, just in abundance and led into gold and all the stuff, and the sun and the moon and silver and gold and So anyway, yeah, and I was asking
what I was saying is that money is a force multiplier. So this woman at Hay House studied money and people with money, and she studied the billionaires, like the big money. And I believe that it was 2 out of 10. It might have been 3 out of 10 wanted the money because of the things they could do with it to help humanity. So the more money they got, the more they could help humanity.
That's it right there. I just have to say that is why I am on the path that I am. So all the abundance is like going back to humanity, like healing centers, like to be of service to humanity. The more abundance we have, and it's so different in the world of celebrity where it's like me. But a different mentality is all about giving to humanity, that abundance and healing. So
that's right. And nothing's more fun. I guess what I want people to know is that is fun.
Exactly.
Like at the beginning of, Seth would come to my meetings, and, at the very first meeting, I said, okay, we're hiding Jews here and we're the Jews. And it was during the real shutdown time when we were afraid that having more than 4 people together, that the police would come. I mean, with us saying, how could this be happening in the United States of America? But what was so good about that is that I said, I don't know how we're going to do this, but God is going to help us do this. And I happened to have enough resources personally that I could do some of the funding initially. I just, let's get this done. And I didn't need to have people, pay me back. I didn't need to start a GoFundMe. We know what's happened with that now. I didn't need any of that because I had just what you said, Laura, the ability to give. Now, we all have seen these stories. I have, where you find the guy who lived on spam, like 1 can of spam a week, and then he dies, right? And it has $14 million. That's a little extreme the other direction. My brother worked with a husband and wife, and my brother and his wife have been uber generous to the whole family. I mean, for years, like taking everyone to St. John down in the Virgin Islands, taking everyone to Austria to ski. I mean, who does that, right? But this is how they've always spent their money when they have it. This incredible, let's fund family experiences that nobody could do if we didn't help. So that's like this perfect example. And he met a couple that had made millions in real estate. And so they tried to help this couple see that wouldn't it be great if they could take their adult children and their families and fund some adventures for them. He said they couldn't do it. They just couldn't bring themselves to let go of the money and have an experience that is priceless. Priceless. I remember on Christmas Day, going up the lift in Lech, Austria. When I was a little kid, I had a jar, and it was called Christmas in Austria. It was, I just thought about that. Talk about a manifestation. Christmas in Austria. I was collecting money. Now it took a while, but there we were. And it was this perfect day with the sun sparkling on the snow. And I remember being on the lift, and I got up there and I said, if I die today, it'll be okay. It was such perfection. And that was all because of the generosity of my sister-in-law and brother, who used money as a force multiplier. a force multiplier. And I believe that's where we're going. I also think, Laura, I do believe we're going to get to a point. I'm not sure that I'll see it in this particular body. I'll see it, but not in this particular body, where we don't even have money. Right. I mean, we may get to that. And so I'd like to say to the new age people who think that money is dirty and awful and all of the rest of it, and they're angry, if I have a new dress. I once had a woman who, just had to be on me about shoes. She said, "Oh, look at your shoes." I said, "Look, I got to tell you something. I was diagnosed with what they thought was club feet when I was a kid, and I had to wear Buster Brown orthopedic shoes. And so for me to have a nice pair of shoes is a big deal, so, yeah. So we have to find the balance.
Yeah.
What is your value system? Like, I'll spend money on travel that I would never spend on jewelry, let's say, right, or clothing. But right now, in this very now moment, I am saving money like mad on gold and silver, just, stashing it into the sound money wallet, because, those, the crypto wallets, which I have never figured out, I can't
figure out all this kind of stuff out. It's like a dyslexic or something. Keep going.
Yeah, but to have a company where you can just hook up your bank account with a sound money wallet so that the gold and silver is there, so that you can put your fiat currency into silver and gold. And if you need it for cash, put it right back in. And I think everyone should have really a stack of silver dollars. Just have some silver in hand. Just have it in hand. Sound money, God's money.
Eisenhower's on the silver dollar.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that right?
That's true.
Whoa, yeah. Whoa.
Interesting.
So there's something about, holding that, because most people, they have never held real money. I had a call from a doctor friend yesterday, and she says, "I really just feel like I'd like about 2 ounces of gold." I feel, she's very, very devout Christian. And she said, "It's not like I'm worshiping false idols. I just think there's something about the gold." And I think it's what you said, Laura, that there's a mystical energy. There's a spiritual energy associated with these metals. So I told her to call. She wasn't interested in our particular company. So I told her to call APMAX, which is APMAX, I think. And any of you who are interested, if you want to just, quickly get a little gold or silver, you can get it there. It's an online place, or you can go to your local dealer, but you're not going to know what you're getting. So she called, and she said, and I asked them, what did this mean on their website? What did that mean? They couldn't answer it. They couldn't answer it. But anyhow, I just felt at this point, okay, also as a gynecologist, right? I'm board certified in the second chakra. So the second chakra of the body is where the reproductive organs are. It's your power drive. So we think about, we say he has balls, or we say she has ovaries. It's the same thing. Both produce androgens.
Oh, and the second house also is Taurus, which is the house of abundance and self-worth and what we value. So anyway, keep going.
Oh, that's good too. You're right. You're right. Absolutely. So that part of the body, the health of that part of the body is wired in, not that it's wired in, but you know what I mean, by one's relationship with money, sex, and power. And Carolyn Mace, years ago, she'd talk about how we wear our weapons around our second chakra, the gun belt, the knife, and the wallet. Oh. And she would say, Carolyn said some amazing things. And she said, the size of a man's erection is directly related to the size of his wallet. And I thought, we'll ponder on that one for a bit. But so
Taurus is opposite Scorpio, which rules the reproductive organs in that particular area of the body too.
That's exactly right.
And right now the South node is in Scorpio and the North node is in Taurus. So this is the prime time right now for us to be talking about this. So keep going.
Oh, I do love that. Wow. So the North Node is in Taurus and the South Node is Scorpio.
Right now.
And-
Yep.
Okay. And Scorpio's 8th house, and that's other people's money.
Right,
And the second house is I have.
And Taurus, and it's all the second chakra stuff you're talking about. So go back to the wallet and the
Okay.
guns. And
So therefore, so I get I had Mark, Michaud, and Daniel Roy came to my house for where I met Seth. And they were involved in marketing of health products, which I loved. And then they told me they were involved in this company with the metals. And they said, well, why don't you take a look at this? And so I took a look at it. They had to drip on me a little bit because I hadn't yet heard that gold and silver were going to hold their value and rise as the fiat currency comes down. These are going to rise. And so that this is this particular time. I love what you said astrologically, that, you know, to everything there is a season. And so I got involved and I just told people about my divorce story. Oh, and then Robert Kiyosaki is the person who turned me around. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said the rich people and poor people don't think different, they think opposite. And the cash flow quadrant was over on the left, self-employed, employed, work the hardest and pay the most taxes. And then over here on the right is business owners and investors, and they work the least, pay the least taxes, and have the most money. Now, here's the deal. You can be in every one of those quadrants at the same time. So you might have areas where you're self-employed, where you're employed, still working. But I began this process, and it's a concretization of divine radiant substance. I realized I needed to begin to think of me and my energy as an economy, as a business. I had to think of myself as a business. And one of the things Kiyosaki said is, if you want to learn about business and investing, you know, and I read books like Incorporate Yourself, and I played his game Cash Flow, which, by the way, if you want to eerily recreate your relationship with money, play that game Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki. Ooh. There's also one Cash Flow for kids. So you can teach kids the economy. I mean, they never get that in school. I mean, what's
so great about games?
Yeah, this is a great game.
Games, it makes it a lot more fun. Anyway, keep going.
So I played it until I could get out of the rat race and into the fast track in an hour. And I played it with accountants. I played it with people who had inherited money. They couldn't get out of the rat race to save themselves. Anyway, the game is incredible. Kiyosaki wrote it when he and his wife became financially free. What is the definition of financially free? It is when your income from residual income, let's say from real estate or from whatever, when your expenses and your income cross over, where your expenses and your income are like right there, then that's financially free. You don't need to work any harder in order to pay your bills. And of course, obviously with a little bit more. So, you know, so those are the people who buy the car washes, the real estate, the storage units. It's typically entrepreneurs who understand cash flow. Cash flow is the money that's coming in, whether you're working or not. That's residual income. And I watched daughter number 2 become financially free in my living room by talking to my friends, and become financially free by the age of 30 with a relationship marketing company. So I saw how that worked. And now I'm working with daughter number 1, who's kind of a daughter number 2 was a political refugee to Florida. So her kids didn't have to do the stuff, right? So she's very, very happy and knows all about business and marketing. I mean, I have to say that my divorce was probably the best thing that ever happened to everybody, because they had to watch me reinvent myself. They had to watch me punch a hole in heaven. They had to watch me see myself as a business, start to take myself seriously, you know, and it's only then, by the way, that the big stuff started to happen with Oprah, with it's only then. If I know plenty of doctors who are still stuck because their only income is fee for service, seeing patients. And these are doctors who know so much that they should be producing products, info products, how to do, you know, they could be doing that. But there's that mindset of, I can't blow my own horn.
Poverty
That's unethical.
consciousness. Yeah.
That's it. It's poverty. Once again,
Yeah.
and a lot of it, Seth, it comes down to, what will people think of me? Back
Right.
when I was actively in practice and in the hospital, if you so much as put an ad in the paper about your practice, you had to face the stocks in the pillory. Like, nobody did it. Nobody did it. You sure didn't have a Yelp rating. Like now, you go online and the doctors right out there, like being judged like a pizza. We did not have that. There was still some dignity left to the profession. It is gone. So what Seth and I want people to know is, there's a way for anyone, and I mean anybody, to get some gold and silver, get involved in a business. You can share it if you want, make income that way. But I just want everyone to have as much silver as they get that fiat currency into some silver now, so that it's there for you as we move into the quantum financial reset. Apparently the SWIFT system is dead, and the Starlink thing. I mean, I listen to those people, but like Charlie Ward, but who knows? I mean, who knows? We have to get into our own intuition, don't we? And my intuition just says, go with some gold and silver. And here's the thing, Laura, as you know, my whole career has been based on seeing things that the mainstream could not see. And then later they come around and say, oh yeah, you were saying that 20 years ago, which, I mean, I can name the things off, delayed cord clamping, DHA in breast milk, folic acid in a prenatal vitamin, vitamin D, all that stuff, generally 20 years before it makes the mainstream. So we don't have 20 years to wait on this one. So I just want people to know about it. And you could certainly include a link in the description in case people wanted to know more.
Yeah. And we'll kind of explain, what happens when you hit the link and kind of what it's all about. And I could just talk to you forever. The whole concept of taxes is kind of coming up for me when you're talking about what's going on. And I have to kind of make fun of the stuff that stresses me out. So I'm like, because of all the gender confusion and people like identifying themselves as different than the body they were given, I'm going to just say, when I talk to the tax people, I identify as a hawk, so I can't really pay my taxes. Sorry. I mean, like if they're so sensitive about gender confusion in sports, they should be sensitive to the fact that I identify as a hawk or a dolphin.
True.
But anyway, so yeah.
Well, what's interesting with there are, believe it or not,
IRS is going away. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, the IRS is a private corporation in Puerto Rico, by the way, and it's illegal. Now there are those, I'm studying this, believe me, I'm still paying my taxes because I don't want to end up in jail. But there are many, many people studying alternatives through trusts, through working in the private sector, common law, as opposed to statutory law. And there are people who are learning, in a way, actually, we're all learning how to do this. We're all learning that we have been enslaved by debt, and taxes are going up every year, and there's taxes on everything. I was listening to Nick Van talking with Michelle Fielding the other day, and he said, we do not need this massive amount of taxes. There's a VAT tax, value added tax on everything in the UK. And, if you think, I used to think, well, maybe my money is going for maintaining the national parks, No, most of our tax money is going to the Crown. It's going to people that they're not improving your roads.
Exactly.
Or, they're not doing any of that. And I think that stuff is starting to come to light. But right this very now moment, we're building bridges to a future of true freedom for humanity. And part of that freedom comes from remembering who we are. And as Alex Collier says, we are the result of 22 different DNA strains. We are genetic royalty. Why do you think so many races are interested in getting our DNA? Because we are genetic royalty, and we have been pummeled and milked for who we are, and literally enslaved for centuries. And at this right now moment, that's all changing. So for those of us who can see it, like you, me, and Seth, how are we going to live our lives now? Because I'm not going to wait for NESARA and GESARA. I'm not going to wait for the government to go away. We're in, Seth and I live in a particularly deep state of affairs with a lot of granite and a lot of very deep state kind of things that we won't get into. But we're not waiting. As Seth says, I just heard an interesting thing, Seth, from Gene Decode, and he said, crystals are fifth dimensional beings. Yeah. They're not third dimensional, they're fifth dimensional, and you can have a conversation with them. And rocks and so on can communicate with you from everywhere. And one of the things you've said about our state is that there's giant tourmaline.
Oh, really? You guys have lots of tourmaline in Maine?
Oh my God, yeah. Maine is
underneath. I know there's a lot of granite.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. They just found the biggest.
I got so many big pieces of tourmaline. And
oh my God, you wouldn't even be able to know what to do if you saw what's up here.
Can't wait to come there. I mean, I've been all over the United States, and I've yet to go to Maine. I can't believe it. Anyway, and my mother lives very close to you guys, by the way. She has a house there. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
So anyway, so we have this little opportunity, and if you click on the link, then what we would do is we'd get you on a Zoom to tell you more about it, because we don't want anyone to think that they have to be me, or they have to be Seth, or they have to be you in order to be successful in this. We want it to be simple for the average person. So the way we do it is, if you click on the link there, and you give your email and all that, then Seth or one of our team members would just be in touch with you. We get you on a Zoom, you learn more, but we want to teach you about money. We want to teach you about what they did in Bretton Woods, where they decided that the petrodollar was it, because that's going away, and how much gold and silver could have purchased in 1962. And if you had it now, what you could buy with it. So we really want to teach you about currency and about gold and silver, and how to use these, and how to get certified in using them, but mostly how to get some right now, and then share the thing and earn money if you want to, but you don't have to. Yeah. And we are decidedly no pressure. It's funny, the only pressure that I feel is the same pressure that got me into it, which is, today I called my financial person and I said, I got to have you sell a bunch of money in the stock market, and I want to stick it into gold and silver. And most financial advisors, everybody, and most accountants don't know what you're talking about. So I had to learn something. Like, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to medicine. I know what I'm getting and what I don't need. So, and by the way, this is where we always have to say to everybody, now check with your doctor before following my advice, except that my advice is I would never check with a doctor for almost anything. I mean, I just know what they're selling. And I also know, a friend of mine just broke his foot and had an amazing doctor put it back together, who's a great guy. So I meet great doctors, but in general, I want you to have everybody to trust their own body and their own self-healing ability. Seth's story in his book, The Fight to Enlighten, is an incredible, incredible story of self-healing. I mean, I read it all. We had no power. I read it in 2 days.
Oh.
And so Seth knows this divine radiant substance. He knows what it is. And he had to go there. There was no other way out.
Oh, yeah.
And the book is about that. And we laugh about it. You know, he goes, to get really free, I had to get in prison.
Right.
So
Isn't that amazing? And that's part of that alchemy, the lead into gold. It's like taking this adversity and challenge and anyway, keep going. Yeah. You both are amazing. Yeah. And it just, you're like the best doctor ever. It's like if people grow up with a doctor like you, oh my goodness. All right, keep going.
Yeah. Oh, no, because then, then they would know to trust themselves. It's like both of my daughters knew right away when the whole thing started. They knew right away what to think and how to act.
Wait. And the whole, what started the plan?
The whole thing that we've had going on that starts with a C.
Oh, and real quick. Yeah. I never went to doctors growing up. I always healed myself. And even went into pregnancy with twins, didn't even see a doctor until I was 5 months into it. But I knew, and I almost felt like I could maybe birth them myself, but anyway, so keep going.
Yeah, you probably could have. I just learned about a doctor out in California who spent years in the hospital system, and this was Stan Home, whatever, the great doctor out there in California. And he told me there's now board certified OBGYNs, a couple of them, delivering breeches and twins at home. At home.
Yeah, it was really hard to find a midwife that would take it on, because they just consider it high risk right away. But yeah, I kind of jumped in and redirected. So to go back, you were talking about your daughters, and
yeah, but I'm talking about the fact that they grew up with what we're calling, personal sovereignty. I trust myself.
Yeah.
Well, I had to get to that recently. I was afraid. Just admit this. I was afraid to tell my financial planner person, broker person who knows all about money. I was afraid to tell her that I want you to cash out of this and I want to go over here with another person. It took me about a year. And then I realized, what are you afraid of? For heaven's sakes, when it comes to medicine, you know exactly what feels right, what doesn't feel right, who to trust, who not. Why don't you trust your gut when it comes to money? Because women typically are taught to give their bodies over to the medical system. You don't, but most do. Yeah. And most are giving their children over to the medical system. I just learned from Alex Zek, who's got little kids. He said, we currently have 25 shots on the CDC schedule by the age of a year. 25. Now, you got to have that sovereignty and that maternal instinct pretty disappeared to go along with that one. I mean, right? What happened to those women?
I know. It's like everything is disease, and we just have to stick things in our bodies instead of really connecting with the earth and the medicines of the earth, and just, our ability to build our immune system organically, and just facing the challenges that make us stronger, our spiritual immune system as well, our mental and emotional. And like the story of Seth, to me, is like building a spiritual immune system in the face of adversity. And you embody that as a doctor. It's like, you're so beyond a doctor. You're like a sage wisdom keeper. Oh my goodness. You always blow my mind. So anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, but anyway, that if I can, I think a lot of what I do is a transfer. I mean, they know that I've had all of the medical training, board certified, Dartmouth Medical School, Tufts New England Medical Center, clinical assistant professor. I mean, I jumped through all the hoops. So therefore, I am such an insider that when I say to them, you're okay and you can figure this out on your own, it's a transfer of their power back to them, instead of me saying, so what medical school did you go to? I mean, I had an uncle who was like that. My dad's oldest brother, the great white doctor, he was like that. So, we all just like, no, thank you. So that's what I want people to do with their money. I want them to take control of their money. We have a guy who's big in our company, Curtis, who I adore, salt of the earth from Missouri. And he used to be in a company that drew lines on the highway, like make sure there's the fresh lines on the highway.
Oh, right.
And he said, no matter how hard he worked, there's only so much money you can make at that. There's only so much money. And with what we're doing, it's kind of up to you. So you can just get in and put some of your fiat currency into gold and silver and, start that way. Or you can share with you. Oh, there's another thing that I love, that let's say that Seth runs out and gets me something that I need. And we're both members of this. I can pay him with gold and silver in the Sound Money wallet. I can just turn it over to him, or my daughter. If I want to reimburse her for a plane ticket, I can give her the money in the Sound. It's like a separate ecosystem, and that I love.
So if somebody has like a bill to pay, or they're paying off their mortgage and they've invested in a lot of gold and silver, and maybe their bank account's real low, can you trade it in if somebody demands cash? Or
that's the thing that's so nice.
Somebody might say, I'm glad you have gold and silver. I'd actually prefer that. Maybe if it's not somebody connected to a bank, but maybe like a landowner that's selling the land, because I'm trying to buy land, and the guy's like, yeah, we'll totally take silver instead of cash, which is great, because it's already shifting into that, where the silver that we've saved, he's like more interested in than the cash part. But I don't know if that was really a question, but you kind of get where I'm going.
No, but well, this is like, if your family members are members, let's say, and everyone has their own Sound Money wallet, then you can do transfers. Now, remember, the silver is either the stuff that you want at home, which they'll send it to you, or you can keep it in a vault. And the vault's in Idaho, which is, 5 layers thick, and everyone in Idaho is packing. So it's very
that's going to lead me to another question, because that's confusing, but I'll ask you guys later, not on this interview. So keep going.
Yeah.
About like why Idaho and what? Okay. Anyway.
Well, no, you just have to have it's kind of like, that's where the guys started it.
Okay.
All right. That's just where the company started it. So, kind of bloom where you're planted.
Right. So anyway, there's that whole kind of like saving it, putting it away, and
there's like, if you want to, you can have the silver bullion sent to your home, or you can keep some of it in a vault. So and it's trackable.
What about
and
like burying it in your yard? Or we have it in tubes. Oh shit! I'm not gonna say where.
No, you can. One of the founders of the company. This is funny. He bought silver coins like every year as a kid, and he buried them under the apple tree. And then land came up, and he wanted to buy land, and he dug up his gold coins and bought 300 acres. So I think here's what I've noticed, Laura. The people who really understand money, my brother's one of them, my other brother, they always have some gold. And almost invariably, they're not in the market. They're doing something else. I've noticed that. They know how the game works with the stock market and all of that. Now, I'm not.
That's where I'm not. That's where I don't know so much. Oh my gosh.
Well, because the reason that you don't is they make it confusing on purpose. You should have seen what I had to go through when I want to get money out of the 401k into an IRA, and then there's fees, and then I got to fill out this permission and that permission, so that the government gets its pound of flesh.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Profit over people.
Yeah, but my mom's always talking to me about that kind of stuff, and it's like, sounds like another language. I'm like, I'll just retire in a tent. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll just go into.
It's profit over people and planet. That's what it is. Everybody has been socially conditioned to focus on profit. Me over people and the planet. Not we. We haven't looked at it as we're all interrelated. We're all a part of each other. And until people start prioritizing these relationships with themselves, with each other, then we are part of the old system. We're part of the dying, decaying old system.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for Seth and I, this is a way that you begin to create a path into the new system, even though it completely, it takes care of all of the rules and regulations of the old system. Like no one's trying to get away with anything. There's nothing that's crooked. It's all completely above board. As a matter of fact, they're having the AGs from all the states come to their Salmon Lodge retreat center. So, I mean, it's an interesting way to do business. So, you know, we, with your following and my following, it's just been really fun to put it out there and see if people are interested. They'll either see it or they won't. I mean, let me just say that at any given time in my career, back when I was seeing patients, I swear to you, only 5% of my patient load ever really got what I was saying. I want to give you an example. I used to have Carolyn Mace on speed dial. I literally had Carolyn Mace who said to me, I will stand by, and if anyone needs a reading, I'll do it for $25.
That's so wild that you were aligned with her, because this is like a whole nother level when it comes to you as a healer beyond the medical industry, but yet you went through all those hoops, and that makes you the greatest bridge ever to like what it really is all about. So anyway, keep going. Wow. It's just
so anyway, I'd only bring it up to certain people.
I love Carolyn. I mean, I just can't even believe you're talking about her, because actually she lived down the road. She was in Glen Echo, I think, Maryland, where I was living. Anyway, but
really,
I've read her books. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Anatomy of Spirit is incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I don't read a lot, but like, anyway, keep going. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I had this woman call her, and she said what it was. It was like pain in the pubic bone. And so she told the woman what it was about, because it's always about your life. And the woman didn't come back for 2 years. She finally came back, and she said, I couldn't come back for a couple of years because the degree to which I am responsible for my own life and my own health was so overwhelming to me. I almost couldn't handle it. But now I get it. Most people really believe that they are victims of their life circumstances, instead of understanding that as a soul, they pick their life circumstances because those are the exact energetic circumstances they need to do the work that their soul decided to do. So that's why you get the parents you get. It's why you get all of it. And if you can see that, then whatever happens to you, you see it biosymbolically, and that's power. That's power. Yeah.
Yeah, that. I mean, that was so incredibly well put. And I know we gotta kind of wrap it up, but it's really incredible. And I just have to say, somebody of your background and education and incredible wisdom and embodied nature as a total divine mother, it's like if Dr. Christian Northup thinks this is a good idea, there's nobody I'd take more seriously and have more admiration for. That it's like, if she thinks so, then like I just, that's why I'm on board with this, because I mean, the integration of like wisdom and knowledge and education and bigger picture, but also knowing how to play the game but expand beyond it. I just think your advice is crucial, and if you really believe in this, I certainly do. And that's why I'm so grateful to be on board. And I, hope you guys, definitely check it out, because it'll give you a lot of sense of security, because the fight or flight response to a lot of these fear tactics makes it impossible to think. But when you can feel a sense of security, then you can really just allow your intuition to guide you and help regulate you and help you to become a healer for yourself and others, and an activator, like you are, because you activate people's empowerment to know how to heal themselves. And it's just, it's amazing, because it feels so natural, but it's so rare. You're such a rare gem in this world. I wish there were more people like you, but I know that because you embody this and you hold this, that it's activating a lot of people to have the courage to step into that frequency. That is really a reunion with the soul, right? It's not like you have to adopt a belief system. You're going to come home, right? Because I feel like I'm home when I talk to you both.
Right. That's right.
Oh, and the sun just is blazing now. But yeah, so any kind of final words of anything you both want to just share before we close?
Well, I'm just saying, check out the link and see, fill out the form and get on a Zoom with one of us,
And we're going to do it tonight. Even we're going to do a Zoom. We were planning on doing it about 9, but depending on, however, 9 Eastern Standard Time, maybe we might do it at 9:15 or 9:30, based upon who wants to do it. So.
And that's just incredible invitation just to be in your guys' presence. I mean, that is just,
we have fun. We literally party. We party.
You guys are so much fun. I cannot wait to visit. Like, I mean, seriously, just you are gold. And just being in your presence is, everybody's got that inner treasure chest to, it's like I look at astrology almost like a treasure map. To find that inner treasure, to get into that 0-point unified field, to break the patterning. I see it as sort of a treasure map that everybody's got a different unique blueprint to like find that little X and like dig and find that inner treasure in the soul and connect with spirit and begin to really, really blossom, because it's in everybody. And let's celebrate and like embrace it, because everybody's the chosen one. Love and wisdom is the chosen one. And let's get over all this other BS, right?
Right.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was really fun talking to you, Laura. That's great. And we'll see if some of your community, wants to join us and get a little bit more abundant.
Yeah. Yay. Well, I'm glad to be a part of it. Check out the description. I will pin it in the comments after the show. And I look forward to more interactions, and just my life is so enriched, and I'm in so much joy and inspiration with both of you in my life. So thank you so much for being here with me.
Feelings mutual.
Laura.
All right. Bye.
All right. Good night, you guys.